One of the things I love about this podcast is that I get to share with you some of the amazing conversations I have with my creative business besties in private. This spring, when I was in California for Craftcation, Mark Montano and I had dinner together one night. Our conversation covered all the things from working with brands to scheduling out DIY videos. I just knew that we had to repeat this conversation for the podcast because we were talking about things that everyone, me, you, that person down the street, wants to know. Mark is a rock star, so who doesn't want to hear his DIY pearls of wisdom? I know I do. I couldn't get enough of them. Y'all, I am Jennifer Perkins, and this is the Creative Queso Podcast. Every week, I'm here chatting about the business of being creative and the creativity behind running a business. I have talked with artists, authors, other podcasters, VPs of marketing, and today I am talking with the king of the clever upcycle, Mark Montano. You might know Mark from his Big Ass Book series, or perhaps you caught him on one of the many TV shows he has hosted or worked on through the years for places like TLC, PBS, or ABC. There's also, that little YouTube channel called Make Your Mark with almost 200,000 subscribers where he puts out a new DIY video every single week. I am tired just saying that. Mark is prolific in his creativity, generous with his knowledge of business, and an all-around awesome guy. I cannot wait for you guys to listen to this chat. Okay, Mark, I am so excited that you are here chatting with me after, a few minor technical difficulties.
Well, I love chatting with you. So this is just a recorded conversation.
Exactly. And, and you understand, we glue stuff to stuff. We're not techie people.
No, gosh, everything seems to fall apart sometimes. And I have no idea how to put it back together.
I know. I mean, if podcasts were made with pom-poms, I would be in it to win it, but alas. So, yes, I know you are a busy guy, so I was super excited that you had time to chat with me. So I wanted to kind of kick things off with, obviously we're friends, so I know the history of the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Montano. But for those that may not, so you got your start in fashion, you made a pit stop in television, and have now been involved in the DIY community for several years. So can you give us kind of a brief history of Mark?
Oh, wow.
Starting with the fashion, how did you get into the fashion stuff?
Well, that was always my lifelong dream. I always wanted to be a fashion designer ever since I was a kid. And so my mom, who was super cool and a really optimistic person, still is, was just like, well, there are fashion designers in the world. So if you want to be a fashion designer, then I guess you can be a fashion designer. And I thought, well, that really makes sense, right? So that's kind of the advice I give to everyone who wants to be something. Well, if they exist, then you can be that thing. Just go do it. So I went to school for business, moved to New York City, interned with Oscar de la Renta, had a couple of other crappy jobs, opened my first boutique, and was a fashion designer for a very long time. And made some fun friends in the industry. A girlfriend of mine, Atusa Rubenstein, was one of my editors at Cosmopolitan magazine. And she said, "Hey, Mark, I am starting a new magazine for teen girls called Cosmo Girl. Would you like to write a monthly article for the magazine?" And I thought, why not? Right? It'll be fun. So I started writing an article called Cool Room. And every month I would decorate a teen girl's room, and we would make curtains and recover lampshades and paint the dresser and paint the walls and make a duvet cover. And I started saving those ideas and I turned them into a book, which was Super Sweet, the Ultimate Bedroom Makeover Guide for Teen Girls. And it was fun writing the book. All of this time I was still a fashion designer, but, I thought, why not? Let's just try something new. Turns out this book ended up in the waiting room of a dentist's office, and a producer from While You Were Out, saw the book, and cold called me and asked me to audition for While You Were Out. So I thought, why not? Sounds fun. It's a new experience. So I went, I auditioned, and I got the part. And that's how I ended up in television and designing rooms on TV from fashion.
Oh,
So
I had no idea. I've never heard this part of the story.
yeah, it was
Riveting.
just very roundabout opportunities that were presented that I just said yes to. And then my career sort of took a left turn. I phased out of fashion. So at that point, I had been in fashion for about 15, 17 years and focused on TV and book writing. And it was fun. It's been fun. What can I say?
Right, now you just keep on keeping on. So how many shows have you, been on now? There was there was another one after that one, wasn't there?
Well, yeah. So I did While You Were Out.
Uh-huh.
Then I hosted 10 Years Younger.
That was the one I was thinking of.
Yeah. My Celebrity Home, where we copied celebrities' homes for, I don't know, $5,000 or $8,000 budgets, which really upset the celebrities because they were like, I paid $100,000 for this room,
Right, I'm
and you
sure.
basically copied it for $8,000. I did She's Moving In for women's entertainment, the Tony Danza show, and then I did My Home 2.0 for Fox, which was a high-tech home makeover show, and then I produced my own show called Make Your Mark for PBS.
Man, you have had you are such a prolific guy, in everything you do, stacks of books, walls of DVD TV shows, you blow my little baby mind with all this
Oh
stuff.
well, it's a product of having high anxiety and needing to be busy all the time.
I never thought of it that way. It's like turn that smile up or turn that frown upside down. I should look at it that way with my anxiety. That's why I get so much done because I can't be still. I can't
It's
not be doing.
true. It's true. I mean, I wake up like, what am I going to do? It's time to get busy. I can't be sitting around in bed. I got to work on something.
I know my kids will be like, "Mommy, can't you just watch a show with us?" I'm like, "No, mommy can't just watch a show with you. I have to also be on a laptop or collaging or cutting or stitching or something."
Yeah, and I think it's a great way to be. I mean, if you have anxiety or like we do, it works. They work together.
Exactly. They just happen to go hand in hand. So I want to go back a couple places.
Okay.
One, so is your degree actually in business as opposed to fashion or art?
My undergrad was in fashion merchandising and business.
Oh.
Yes. So I studied that at Colorado State. And then I went to FIT and studied fashion design and costume history.
Ooh,
Yes.
this explains a lot about you. I
Mhm.
get it now with the history part. Well, I've often said to myself, man, I should have had a degree in business. I mean, not that, hence the neurotic part, being a psych major hasn't come in handy a few times, but business would have been a better degree. So when you did fashion, not that fashion's crafty at all, but I always wonder just from all the big ass books, were there any kind of crafty elements in any of your designs that you did?
Gosh, I think being a fashion designer is all about being crafty. And as a young designer with not a lot of money, you spend all your money on fabric and you realize, oh my God, I'm having this runway show and I need some runway worthy jewelry or I need shoes to match. So you're covering shoes in fabric, and that's a craft.
Mhm.
And you're making, really funky runway worthy couture-esque jewelry out of whatever you can, you know,
Pieced together.
glue together, piece together, use jumper, so it's all crafting.
That's true. That's true. They are really super connected. So in a sense, with the TV stuff, you're still hosting because every time I turn on Facebook or YouTube, there you are smiling back at me with some clever craft that I'm like, damn you, Mark, how did you think of that great idea? I was just watching that, the spray paint faux glaze thing on like the kids' pottery wheel. I was just like, oh, you're so good.
That was fun. I loved making that.
And they really did look like I know the exact glaze look you're going for. It was so clever.
I love a drippy glaze. I'm not going to lie.
As we all do, as everyone should. I want that on a t-shirt. Like, that's the perfect thing. So how many times a week are you posting new videos?
I post 2 new projects every week, and it's pretty exhausting, but I love it. I love the challenge. I love having a schedule, and I love sharing new ideas with people or fresh takes on ideas that have been around for a while. I love
Mhm.
that. I think it's a way to use technology and a way to communicate through the internet that's really positive and um, hopefully inspiring and helpful to people, and not, or allowing them sort of to get away from all of the other negative aspects of being online.
Mhm. No, I mean, they truly are. I mean, and like I mentioned earlier, you're so prolific, like, 2 times a week, like, man, I feel like sometimes with my blog, I'm lucky to get, like, 1 thing out a month.
Well, you're a mom, and I think people don't, other than other mothers, but I always appreciate people who have kids and how hard they work all the time, and how being a mother is like having 2 or 3 full-time jobs and then having a career after that. I mean, I don't know how you do it. I honestly do not know how you do it. I can barely make myself a sandwich,
Well,
and you have kids running around
I
and a
did just,
career.
like I dropped 1 kid off at a play date, and I just quickly microwaved leftover pizza, threw it at the other one, and put him in front of YouTube and said, "Do not knock on this door unless the house is burning down." So, which one am I winning at? I don't know. So, but thank you for saying so.
No, I admire all the moms in the world. Props, applause, clap,
It's
awards.
true.
I give it up.
It is a tricky job. So with the video stuff, like, do you just like sit around and like have like a brain dump and a brainstorming session to like come up with like concepts and ideas? Like, and then you're like, all right, then let's schedule all these out. Like, do you ever pace yourself? Like, let's do a home decor. Let's do a jewelry. Let's do I don't know, a revamp. Like, do you have any kind of thing like that? Or is it just like what comes to you?
I think it's more how I feel. So
Mm-hmm.
since I work with all these different brands, I'm constantly trying to come up with ways to use them that I feel are useful to the viewer. Um, so I'm constantly noticing everything, like many creative people are. I'm not special in any way at all. I just notice things, and I think, how can I turn this into a project that's understandable or interesting or maybe a little bit different than we're used to seeing? And I
Mm-hmm.
take a lot of notes and I write things down, and then when it comes time to filming a project or making something, um, I just do what I feel like I want to do. I mean, so much of being creative is actually feeling creative and feeling inspired to make something. So
Mm-hmm.
I only want to make the things that I feel like I want to make.
Yeah, and that comes through, I think, and everything you do. You seem, it all seems like your style. You seem like genuinely like passionate and excited about it. It never comes across as, and sometimes we know just as content creators, like sometimes you feel like you can be in situations where you feel stifled, like, oh, but you never do. Like everything you come up with, I'm like, dang, Mark, that's another good one. Like that's so cute and clever.
Well, I guess maybe that's what the internet's all about. It gives the shiny, glossy, appearance that everything's great. It's not always like that. There are puddles of tears, tantrums. I'm sitting on the floor, you know, pouring through magazines or the old big ass books, thinking like, I am in a creative slump right now and I'm never going to dig myself out.
Oh, I know.
And
I do it all the time.
I roll around and I don't comb my hair, and
You're like, "I'm never coming out of this." Like,
Exactly.
that's it. I've used it all up. The last idea, it's
It's
gone.
true. My husband just steps over me, laughs at me, and he says, "You'll get over this."
This too shall pass.
Exactly.
This craftastrophe will pass.
It's true. But why
So
share that? Nobody
right,
wants to see
exactly. I
that.
mean, that's the thing about the internet. We just wanna see the shiny, glossy stuff. We don't wanna know about feelings or craft mistakes. I just wanna see the beautiful stuff at the end.
Exactly.
So with all these videos and all this content, one of the things that you and I have talked about, and I find super interesting is like a system for posting it because I get real caught up in the like either I'm killing it on Instagram and then I've totally left everything else. Like Facebook hasn't seen me in days, or I'm great on Twitter and Pinterest, and then, Instagram I like totally forget about. So I was telling you that I'm in this class with Kathy Heller, this like online class.
Mhm.
And then she had a jewelry designer named Tracy Matthews speak, who has a company called Flourish and Thrive. And she touched on a system of like staggering content, especially video content. So, what are your thoughts on that? Like reformatting a video for IGTV, or a teaser here and a full post there? Like, do you
Well,
have a set in
I have a
stone
system.
system?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. I have a system. There's always a teaser. I don't stagger videos. I stick to a schedule so that the people who follow me always know when there's something new. Every Tuesday,
Hmm.
every Friday. And then every Wednesday, there's a short version of it if they didn't catch it on Tuesday, and a short version on Saturday if they didn't catch it on Friday, or they don't want to go over to YouTube.
When
Um,
you say short, is it the same video that you've edited down, or did you re-record it another time?
Nope, same video edited down to 1 minute,
Okay.
um, and that video is also posted on Instagram.
In your feed, not in your IGTV?
Yeah, I haven't used IGTV. I'm not super techie, as we discussed earlier, so I keep looking at that IGTV and saying, "Should I press this button? If I do, will my
Right.
phone explode?" So I'm just going to leave it alone for now and do what I've been doing.
I know. If it ain't broke, don't fix it in some ways. And then the IGTV too, like with the vertical, that always throws me off because as a creative, like I want to do everything, you know what I mean? Horizontal. Like I want you to see like all the pretty things. Like then I get thrown off with the vertical part.
Yeah, I'm just bad with all this stuff. So if it's working, then I'm just going to stay, that's why I still have an AOL address. Like, I'm not going to lie.
It's okay. I still have a Yahoo account. I just emailed to somebody the other day with like, oh, it wasn't Hotmail. I think they're gone. But yeah, it was something about like an AOL address. I was just like, look at you go with that. So you think part of one of the things you said was that you do it every week on the same days. I know Vicky is big on that too with her, Monday videos. And then when
Mhm.
I was doing the DIY this with Jennifer Perkins, I think part of the success was that it was weekly. Like people know when to expect it. Do you think that, like, sticking with a schedule is important rather than just, like, randomly throwing stuff up?
I do. I think it's
Mhm.
really important because people are used to, people have habits, and we don't even think about the habits that we create and the schedules that we create for ourselves. But we get up at the same time every day. We go and we make that same cup of coffee 95% of the time.
Mhm.
Um, we probably wear the same outfit, every other Wednesday without even thinking about it.
It's true.
So we sort of create these schedules that we're even unaware of, and I think that the same is for the internet. And the people
Mhm.
who follow me, it's like, "Oh, Mark has a new video," and I very often get comments like, "It's Tuesday."
Yeah.
I've been waiting for your video, which I
Oh, we
love.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, I'm not like I don't watch a ton of YouTube, but like my kids, they know like what day their people are coming out with a new video. They are like, it's Friday. So like Tallulah watches this girl, Mariah Elizabeth, and she does art journaling and has like even a prompt book, kind of her own little version of Wreck This Journal. And boy, you better bet like on whatever day that girl's like new like art journaling video comes out, Tallulah's like in it to win it. Like she knows the day, the time, like people do love a schedule.
Ah, and these kids are killing it on YouTube.
I know. Well, because they're kids.
Yeah.
They've got all the energy, and they were raised in the days of tech. I mean, I'm from, like, the days of, like, Betamax.
The old cassette and the answering machine days.
Exactly. They've got an edge on us. I know. I keep telling Tallulah, like, "I'm gonna send you to school for this, so I don't have to hire anybody. I don't have to hire anybody to edit videos and things for me." And, speaking of editing, so if you were gonna give a pearl of wisdom to someone thinking about dipping their toe into the world of video a little more seriously, like, maybe one step up from, like, just an iPhone, like, what's your, like, go-to piece of equipment that you were like, "Oh, you have to," or software even, if you had to suggest, like, one thing?
Um, I love my Canon 70D camera. That's what I use, and I think it's great quality. Um, I also love natural lighting,
Mhm.
so I like to film outside in the back a lot, and I think that makes a craft video feel very, I don't know, warm and inviting and real. Like somebody, hey, I'm out in the backyard making this thing.
Mhm.
So I'm a big fan of natural light, the Canon 70D. If I do film in the craft house, I like general fluorescent lighting. So you can get like a fluorescent light kit pretty inexpensively.
Yeah, or I hear
Um,
people talk about those ring lights.
Ring lights are great for photos, and it blows out your wrinkles and makes you look nice and young.
What? I need
Yeah,
one of those.
everybody needs a ring light.
Good lord, I need, like,
Um,
10 of them.
but yeah, ring lights. Yeah, really, really great to have. That's also great. But yeah, a good camera, and I hate to say this because I know that a lot of people, you know, maybe can't afford to hire an assistant. But if you can hire someone to come in and hold that camera for you and film your video while you're creating your content, it's going to make all the difference in the world
Mhm.
because you don't want to be touching your camera when you have paint on your fingers or moving it around to get a better angle. So if you can hire somebody or get a friend to come in for a couple of hours to shoot the video with you, um, even better.
Yeah, maybe find somebody in your neck of the woods that also does videos, and you guys can trade. I'll be your cameraman if you'll be my cameraman.
Absolutely. I think it's really important.
I'll get Vicky to come over here and hold the camera for me.
Yeah, she'll do it.
That's the other reason you have kids, because 'cause they'll do it. So when you use your Canon 70D, I'm just curious for my own knowledge. I have one of those. How do you when I film video in there, I couldn't get it to not quit, like, trying to focus, and it kept, like, I'm doing something wrong.
Well, you can either use autofocus or manual focus. I don't film my own videos, but I know that sometimes the autofocus can get a little wonky trying to
Uh-huh.
figure out what you're doing, especially with the hand movement and things like that.
Mhm, so you just
So
edit it out.
yeah, a good like a manual focus and a wider shot is always more helpful because you can always crop it down to what it is that you're trying to capture.
Okay, well, good to know. Yeah, I keep interviewing people. I keep convincing myself I can't get more into video because I don't have the right camera. And then I talk to you, and you have one of the cameras I have. I talked to Alyssa Burke. She has the other camera I have and makes beautiful videos. Like I talked to Amy Tangerine, and she has like a little Canon Mark something something. And I'm like, I have to have that camera before I can get started. It's my current
I
excuse, but
think that the iPhone has a beautiful camera.
it does. It's true. I know. I'm just, I'm looking for excuses so I don't have to put on makeup.
All right, I hear you.
You're supposed to help validate this for me. So, not just video like we mentioned. I mean, you've done like the TV, the fashion, the videos, all the other content that you do. How like from my perspective, it looks like you are just amazing at keeping all these crafty balls in the air and you're just like killing it in all the places. How do you keep it all straight? Are you like a compulsive lister? Are you a Google Calendar guy, king of batch processing? Like, what is your secret method?
Scrap paper cut into long strips and lists. I love crossing something off of a list, like many people do.
Yeah,
It
it is
feels
good.
good, even if it's just like, clean out the utensil drawer. I'm like, I put it on my list. So when it's done, I get to cross it off.
Or do you ever do something and then put it on your list and then cross it off because you're like, "You know what? I want that feeling."
I probably have done that. I'm not gonna lie.
So you're a lister, you don't use, like, Google Calendar? Well, we're not techie people, like, I know everybody's like, "Google Calendar, like, saves my life," and I'm like, "Oh, Google, I don't like you, I don't like your sheets, I don't like your drives, I don't
No, I don't like
understand
any of that
you."
stuff. But I will tell you one thing that I do love. I love Alexa, who just,
Oh.
pricked up her ears when I said the name. Um, oh, what I do is I will tell her, not going to say the name, um, to remind me in 30 minutes to put 10 things away,
Mhm.
or, start a new project at 3:30, whatever it is. And so if I'm really trying to remember something, I just put it as a reminder.
I mean, it is Prime Day.
Today is Prime Day.
Today is Prime Day, today and tomorrow, and they're
How
on super
exciting.
sale. I know, now that you're saying that, I was like, "I've been dying to buy something on Prime Day, maybe that's it."
They are so helpful.
Really?
Really, really, truly helpful.
Oh, I'm writing this down, furiously taking notes.
Yes,
I'll have
this
an
morning it
affiliate
was
link.
like,
No, I'm just kidding.
at 9:45, she was like, "Mark, are you ready for your interview with Jennifer Perkins?" And I
And
was
you're
like,
like, "Why, yes, I am."
"I am
I
actually."
love
Thanks for
it.
the reminder.
Oh my gosh, and Lord knows I need all the reminders I can get. Okay, well then, not a Google Sheet, but an Alexa guy. See, to me, that seems super techy. I'm just like, "Whoa."
Yeah, and it's also cool, like, say you're sitting down and editing a project or working on a project, and you need to get up like in an hour, but you could sit there literally for 3 hours and not move. I always set these reminders like get up and put 10 things away. And then so I'm like kind of cleaning the house as I'm working on a project.
Mhm, I do the same thing.
I love
I'll set a timer for like 10 minutes and I'm like, okay, get some steps in and clean for 10 minutes and get don't get a blood clot. So you're standing up.
that.
I'm killing so many birds with one stone by doing that.
You need to put
Telling
that on
you.
your list. Do not get a blood clot.
Seriously,
Cross that
it's
off.
real. My dad had one once. It was scary. I was like, "Ooh, I gotta walk out." Now that guy can't sit still. He's always up, like, stretching out. So now I gotta do it. All right, so now we know that I need an Alexa. We got that on the list. Speaking of things that I can get on Prime today, what about your books? You have had how many big ass books are there?
There
I
are,
mean, even you've got others besides that one.
yeah, 11 books altogether and four big ass books. And oddly, just this weekend, I made a mock cover and book pitch for the fifth big ass book.
Ooh, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Exciting. What? Can you give us any gory details about it?
I cannot tell you what it's about, but what I can tell you is that, well, I can't tell you anything. There you go.
No.
It's going to be a big ass book. I will tell you
Oh,
that.
but that is exciting.
Hopefully,
Ooh.
hopefully someone will pick it up. Who knows?
Oh, you know they will.
I don't know that.
I was curious, like, I think I have this somewhere in my notes to ask you this, but I'm going to jump right to it. So, sometimes I know for me, like I've had a book come out, not 11, a book, the singular. And, book deals just for me, like they just don't seem like they're what they used to be. It's not like I haven't been approached since then. And I wonder, like, what are your thoughts on like, I don't know, like if your book has 50 projects in it, do you ever feel like, man, that's 50 projects I could do a video for? Or do you feel like I'll just do a different version and do a video for it or a blog post for it? Like,
Why not do both?
yeah,
Why not make a video while you're making the book?
I guess that's true. You need to think of it as like a 2 for 1 special.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I'm thinking of this next book.
Well, that
I,
is the way to think of it.
I'm creating all kinds of new content, so I might as well film it while I'm creating it for the book. When the book launches, I could, have a sister video how to if people feel that maybe the chapter um, didn't give them enough, or they felt like they wanted to see a more a visual aspect to what it was.
Look at
Um,
you. Look at that business degree coming in right
yeah,
now. You're like,
who
"Ooh."
knows? Who knows how it's gonna all come down? But hopefully it will.
Well, I am excited. Yeah, I remember, like, the first time it's funny, I can tell you the bookstore I was in the first time I opened one of your books and, like, looked at it. It was the jewelry one, and I saw that project where you had, like, laminated pictures of costume jewelry and made it into jewelry, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, that is so clever," because I had so many, like, just cheap books from, like, Half Price Bookstore that were, like, costume jewelry books with gorgeous pictures of jewelry, and I was like, "Man, that's a good idea, that guy."
It's interesting. I was looking at that book yesterday and I thought to myself, could have done better.
Really? Like, I thought there was I mean, as a jewelry is my, like, OG. Like, I thought that was such a clever book. There were so many great ideas in there.
Maybe it's just the curse of a creative person. We always, we can look back at things and say, wow, I could have done this better, or I have a bigger arsenal of knowledge on how to work with resin, for example.
Well, that's where part 5 comes in, or part 6, which is jewelry part 2, so that's where that all comes in. And plus too, like, I find it interesting that you do those little snippet videos, the 1 minutes versus the full length ones, because I know for you and I probably, I could look at, like, a magazine or a book, and I don't necessarily sit and read, "Step 1, do this. Step 2, do that." I look at the picture and I'm like, "Okay, I see what they did there," like, and I could do, like, this, and, like, tweak it. That's where those, like, 1-minute things would come in, but I'm sure there are some people that are like, do you know what I mean? Like, I
Mhm.
need that the full length instructions and the added video bonus and
Yeah, some people need the full experience. Me, I go right to dessert.
yeah, no, that's how I am too. I just, like, look at the picture and I'm like, "Okay, I see what you're doing. I got you. I got you." Well, exciting. I can't wait to hear more. I will have to just, keep stalking you on Facebook and all the places until you announce when the next one will come out.
Well, even if I got a book deal tomorrow, it still takes about 1 year to
Mhm.
create a big ass book.
I know. Yeah. I mean, just not even just the content. People don't realize that, like, the printing and the this and the editing and the that, like, it takes forever and a day. Like, that craft book you're looking at, that thing was put together and started the wheels in motion 2, 3 years ago.
Hmm. It's true.
It's a whole thing. So you're a brand spokesman for several companies, including DecoArt and E6000. And every content creator, that's the end gig. The end dream is to not just have a one-off project, but have, like, a reoccurring partnership with a company. Um, what are your do you have any, like, tips for people that are out there that would love to work with the company, like, how to get their attention? Like, I know for me, when I worked with I Love to Create for several years, I was just tagging them every time I ever, like, picked up a bottle of tacky glue. I would tag them, or I would send it to them and be like, "Hey, look at this thing I glued," and eventually they were like, "All right, well, we'll hire you to work for us and be a content creator." Like, what would you tell someone
Well,
who's trying to get into that?
I would start with that, because
Mhm.
what you've done is super duper smart. Use the product. It's really, I think, important that you believe in the brand that you're pitching.
Mhm.
And so you want to show them that you're using it in your work and that you love it, because that's who brands want to hire. They want to hire people who are truly um, excited about what they make and
Yeah.
have a real point of view about how to use it, something that's different.
Mhm.
Um, and every company has a marketing team that you can reach out to. Uh, I started working with Deco Art products way before we started working together officially.
Mhm.
So I would create a video using, for example, their glass paints, and then I would send them, a link to the video and say, your glass paints are amazing. I love working with them. And, we developed a rapport, and eventually, you know, we started working together consistently. It took some time, and I know that everybody wants to just jump in and have it happen right away. We're all impatient like that. But it does take some time for
Mhm.
people to get to know each other and feel each other out and feel that there is some real sincerity there
Sincerity, I think,
and
is the key.
authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly, like you said, because, I mean, as I mentioned, I'm a past jewelry designer. I know E6000 glue is, like, the way to go, and Deco Art has a wide breadth of, like, fun, awesome paint, to work with, mediums, not just paint, so it's like, I know you legitimately I think that's the key, and, like, I love to create, like, I really did like tie-dye stuff all the time, I really did use their glitter and tacky glue, so that's a good point, like, you need to, like, don't go shopping for the thing, like, legitimately, like, love that product and then go that way.
Yeah, because they can tell.
Mhm.
I mean, I legitimately love all of the brands that I work with. I mean, I can, because I've been approached by a ton of different brands, and I've had to say, you know what? I don't think I can fit this into what I do. And, which is also another way of saying, I don't really like what you're making.
Mhm.
It's happened here and there, and not always craft companies. Maybe a tool company or something like that. But the brands that I do work with and say yes to and ultimately use in my videos and books, I love them. I love products, and I love finding new ways to use them. I find it like it's a challenge. It's a daily puzzle.
Yeah, no, I kinda like that sometimes having the parameters of, like, a brand, because sometimes for people like you and I, when we could have, like, all the crayons in the crayon box, like, it's just too much, like, but if you, like, have, like, "Okay, you need to work within this," it's like, "Oh, well, how many ways can I work within this? Like, let me show you the 15 different ways to Sunday I can spin this product," and,
Hmm.
like, do it for different things, yeah, sometimes that's a blessing.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, good tips, good tips, good to know. Yeah, and I think another important thing for people to remember is, like we were saying, like, tag people, like, sometimes you gotta give it away for free at the start before, you can go right up to people and be like, "So,
Talking
hey,
like a
how about
drug
you pay
dealer,
me?"
Jen. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Here's a little. Next
So
time
let
it's
me
gonna cost you.
well, before I was a jewelry designer, just kidding.
Everybody's got to make a living.
Exactly, crafts don't always pay the bills. So this is, technically when you think of our market, and I know back in, the days when I would go to CHA, which isn't even called CHA anymore, it's a really predominantly female industry. How do you think being a dude within this industry has either benefited you or do you think at times it's ever like made it a little bit harder to get your foot in the door?
Honestly, I don't think it's made a difference at all, either way.
Mhm.
Um, and there are a lot of creative guys out there, more and more lately. Um, but I don't think it's made a difference either way. I
Oh,
think
that's
people
good.
appreciate creativity and and they want to share in it, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. So,
Mhm.
you know,
No, yeah, I don't think it matters, like, I don't think people care where their crafts are coming from. I just mean, like, if you walk, like, the showroom floors or if you look at product things, off the top of my head, like, you're the person I think of as a male, like, you and Tim Holtz are the only 2 I could really when I was really kinda trying to think about it. What is his name? The crochet dude, I can't think of his first name, you call everybody their brand name.
right.
He had a product line for a while too, so
And
I didn't
the guy who
go
makes
ahead.
stencils,
Oh, yeah, Ed, that's
Ed.
true. Duh, he's been on the podcast. I just, I didn't know if big craft companies tended to wanna put out products by women more, if you ever had found that as opposed to men or I don't know, I'm looking for some exciting angle, but apparently there isn't one.
There's no, yeah, I don't think there's an angle in the craft industry. We kind of just love everybody. We're like,
That's
oh,
true.
you want to make something? All right, come hang out over here with us. Get
Exactly. We
messy.
we don't care about the technicalities as long as you, like, make cool stuff, like, we're in.
Yeah, that's the great thing about what we do, and
Ex
the people that love our industry.
It's true. That's true. We do love everybody. So when you are doing crafts, obviously there's like the crafts that we do that we're getting paid for or with the companies that we work with. Do you have any like private just for Mark crafts? Like, is there anything that like, at night you're watching Netflix and you're needle pointing or like I love to do like art journaling and I've started to like bookbind. Like that's kind of my thing that I'm not sharing it because it's private. It's just like what I do.
I did a punch needle video a while back, and I love it. It's my new
Mhm.
thing. It's my new at night thing. While I'm watching a movie that I've seen 20 times.
I mean,
For
those are the
example,
best
Notting
ones.
Hill with
Oh my
Julia
gosh,
Roberts.
of course, I was just thinking about, like, that I was thinking about Hugh Grant because mine is music and lyrics. I love that Cheeseball
With
movie.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
Not that I've seen it.
right, with Hugh Grant. I mean, not that I could sing every single song in that movie, but no, I love Punch Needle too. It is, like, addictive and zen.
And it's fast. Everyone thinks like that's going to take forever. And like, it does not take forever.
It doesn't, and it's like crafty stabbing,
It does
so it's,
get
like,
some
stress
aggression out.
relieving. It's funny, I love it too. I took that class at Craftcation when we were both there, um, and that's how I got started on it, and then but I keep, like I noticed, like, Heidi Kenny from, like, My Paper Crane, like, she's getting into it, like, I see it, like, that's gonna be it's already pretty huge, but I see that being, like that's gonna, like, take over.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Mary Oxford, by the way.
Oh, yeah, she's the one that, like, invented that tool, right? Or kind of is
Well,
that her tool, that, like, the wood
she makes a beautiful, high quality tool,
I
punch
think that's the
needle
one I
tool in
have.
different sizes. And it's not cheap, but it's worth it
Mhm.
because you can use
Yep.
it forever.
Well, and the thing I found too is, like, they're not kidding when they say you have to use that specific monk cloth. Like, I thought, like, "I'm gonna be tricky and use this other cloth," and it just, like
Mm,
it
yeah.
tore up.
Hmm.
Well, okay, well, good to know. I didn't
Yeah.
get my punch needle out now that you say that.
Loose
Speaking of
leaf.
Ed, I did one with one of his stencils. I did an ice cream cone.
Oh, how cool is that?
It
Look
was
at
real
you.
cute. I put it on my jean jacket.
Wow, mixing it up. Look at
I
you.
know. I was trying to be hip with the kids. So, besides, doing your, punch needle, how do you recharge? Like, how do you not hit creative burnout? Like, I know we talked about, like, crying on the floor and our husbands just stepping over us, like, "Whatever, it'll come to you."
You
Like, do you
actually think
have
I'm
any
painting a picture there just for, just to be dramatic. I am not.
No, I know.
That
I mean,
actually happens.
my husband will, like, roll his eyes like, "Whatever. I've got a spreadsheet to do." I'm like, "But you don't understand. I can't think of anything to craft." This is how we pay for the kids' summer camps. So how do you, like I mean, what do you do? Do you, like, travel? Do you read?
I
Do
do
you, like
travel.
you do?
And
Okay.
I will read anything. If it takes my mind off of how fast my brain will spin sometimes, I will sit down and read whatever's in front. There's always like a stack of books in front of me.
Like fiction or nonfiction or
Just
both?
whatever. Right now, I'm reading a book on magic, this Taschen book that I picked up. I picked it up because it had really cool pictures, but then I actually started reading it. No one ever reads the Taschen books because they just buy them because the pictures are so
Right, because of
amazing.
the graphics?
But it's actually a really good read. And then I started reading a book about punch needle. And then I started reading this other book called Crafted, by this English lady who writes about everything like gardening. And I can't remember her name right now. And it's a compendium of crafts and how they started and the history of them. And it's so interesting.
Well, look at you, man.
And then I go to Hawaii
Oh, well,
and I just lay on the beach and I do nothing. And I love
because
it.
that's not inspiring.
No, it's actually it's the best way to like kind of just wash the brain. Just,
Mhm.
hang out on a beach, bob up and down in the water like the chubby little buoy I am.
Oh, whatever. Handsome little buoy. Well, maybe I need a vacation more. And see, with me and the ADD, like, I have trouble reading. Like, I'll be, like, 14 pages in, and I'm like, don't even remember what I read on the last 13.
Well, that's okay. I think you have to train yourself with reading. And here's the dealio with reading. Don't don't make yourself feel guilty if you're like not going to sit down and get through a whole book. Just say, you know what? I'm going to read one page because I have ADD and I only want to read one page. So you read that one page and you just keep going.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is true. I need to
just
practice.
like anything else.
And I'm an audiobook person. I do love my audiobooks. But good to know travel and reading.
Yeah, it's helpful. And I try to exercise a lot. I think it does calm the mind a little bit. I like to
Mhm.
run. Um, and it's helpful with the anxiety too, I will say.
No. Oh, no, I agree. I need to get back into running for that exact reason. I used to love it when I would run for it is a great, like, mental clearing.
It helps calm you down.
It does. You've gotta there's nothing like some 90s hip hop on my running playlist to kind of, get me centered again.
Hell yeah.
I interviewed a girl last week, and she has a hip hop card game, a trivia game.
Ooh, fun.
I know. She's a crafter, and she has a hip hop trivia card game. I was like, "I love you. Like, I wanna be best friends with you."
Why are people so cool? I'm so not cool, and everybody else is cooler than me, and it drives me crazy.
Whatever. You're the coolest.
I'm
Everybody
so not.
loves you.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap it up with a lightning round. We'll prove how cool you are in the lightning round. So, here's a question I've got for you. Has everything in the house I'm looking, you're on video. Has everything in the house gotten the Mark Montano treatment?
You're on video.
Like
You can see me?
yeah.
But I can't see you. That's not fair.
Well, sorry, I told you I wasn't gonna turn it on. I can totally see you.
Darn
You didn't turn
it.
your doodle off. I'm not recording you. I'm not gonna put this on the internet and, like,
Okay.
so you
Has every
but
yes,
I mean, I see like that. I see a picture frame behind you, a chandelier, but has everything in the house gotten like the treatment? Like,
everything. And if it hasn't, it's only a matter of time.
it will. Does your husband care, or is he
No,
like,
he does not care at
oh, I
all.
see.
So
I'm
there's
getting.
my
Oh my
limit.
gosh, your house is so clean. Look at that table. I love that table. You legitimately use that like faux malachite table. That was
Yeah.
another one when you did that. I was like,
Well,
dang, that's a good idea.
this used to be my living room table, but I just made another malachite table, which I'm going to give you a little preview of. That
Oh,
is now my new living room table.
sneaky McPeaky. Oh, look at that. It's like tiles. Like,
Yes.
what are those? Like hexagon tiles. Ooh,
Hexagon tile.
fancy. I love that.
So there you go. You saw the house.
I got it. And your husband doesn't care. He's like, whatever, it looks good.
No, he's a lawyer. He does not care about anything. So I'll say, honey, I made this really cool thing today. He's like, line, give me a line. What am I supposed to say? What am I looking at?
I always joke that like when I got married, like my number one credential is that my husband had to have zero opinion on home decorating. Like, I don't care anything else about who I marry. He has to have zero opinion on home decorating. And that's exactly how my husband is. He's just like, looks good. Do whatever. So do you keep everything you do? This is my next lightning round question because I know for people like you and I that do content creation, like I feel like I'm constantly doing a listicle like 10 ways to upgrade your kid's Easter basket. And like I may not really want to keep all 10 of those upgraded Easter baskets in my life. Like, do you donate? Do you have a garage sale?
I do not have a garage sale. I live on a stair street. So in order to get to my house, you have to go up 60 stairs.
Whoa.
Yeah, kind of like Barbary Lane. So I donate a lot of things to Out of the Closet, which
Hmm.
is a thrift store here in LA that helps people with HIV and AIDS. So I buy a lot of furniture pieces there to support them. And then I take them home and I make them over. For example, I'll turn, their one of their cheap coffee tables into this malachite coffee table. And then when I'm done with it, I will donate it back.
So everyone shot in the LA area, if you want to find discarded Mark projects, go to Out of the Closet. I actually usually go to that thrift store when I'm in LA.
Yeah, there are several. So Out of the Closet in Atwater Village, that's where you can find a lot of Mark Montana pieces.
I'm
It's
like,
true.
well, yeah, because you just can't keep everything. I mean,
Oh,
whether
God.
whether or not your husband cares if it's in the house or not. I mean, when you're as prolific as you are, you can't keep every single thing from a big ass book.
Heck no.
Your house would sink.
It's true. And plus, there have been earthquakes here. You'd be
Oh
the
yeah,
first
my
one to go down.
gosh. Eek-a-roodle. Yeah, how's all that going?
It's shaky.
Oh my goodness. Well, nail all those DIY projects to the wall.
I keep buying big, huge bottles of water.
Well, I'm sure I would too.
You do what you
Are you
can.
right? Are you buying jars of non-perishable queso? Because that is my next question. Did you like that segue? Did you see how I did that?
Wow, that was good. Like a magic trick.
I know, it was good. It's like your magic book. So if I came to see you, where would we go for queso?
We would go to El Compadre, this Mexican restaurant that has a mariachi band that plays every night. Just so loud, and the food is delicious and so cheesy.
Yes.
That's where we would go.
I like it. I do love men with rhinestone pants on. Like, I love me a mariachi band.
Who doesn't?
I mean, I literally was just at a restaurant eating a bowl of queso with mariachis this weekend. I'm so glad to finally talk to someone that has an answer to this question. Like, I keep getting the like, we would go get a jar of queso at the gas station. And I'm just like, you people are killing me.
No, El Compadre. I love that place.
Well,
They have
next
flaming
time.
margaritas.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Fire?
I have burned my bangs on that margarita.
Burn my bangs. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mark, that's why I love you, because you drink fiery drinks and you do crafty stabbing in your free time. Like, I knew I loved you for a reason.
Well, you know I love you.
No, well, thank you so much for hanging out and chatting with me today and talking all things crafty. It has been wondermous.
It's a blast, and thanks for having me on your awesome podcast. I can't wait to tell everybody that I got to spend this time with you and that you have an awesome podcast.
Well, thank you, and we will chat soon.
All right, sweetie.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Who else is about to drive over to that thrift store and pray that Mark donated the amazing faux malachite table? Seriously, I'm in Austin. I'm about to drive out to LA just to check. It takes a special blend of creativity and marketing savvy to make it full-time in this industry, and Mark Montano has all of that and more. Plus, honestly, he is just a really sweet, genuine, nice guy. And let me tell you, people, in this industry, that goes a real long way. Now that you're feeling all inspired, pop over to creativequeso.com to read this week's Taco About It Tuesday interview with Mark LaFernie from Slumbering Alligator. Mark talks about everything from his creative mentors to DIY burnout. These two Marks are not the only dude creatives I've talked with. Go back through the archives to hear me chat with another fashion designer, Mondo Guerra from Project Runway, on episode number 16. Ed Roth of Stencil One is on episode number 13, and Andrew and Dennis of the Crafty Lumberjacks chat me up on episode number 5. If you loved this episode, be sure to subscribe in iTunes, leave a review, or take a screenshot and share on social with the Creative Queso tag so I could reshare it. Thank you again to my guest, the amazing Mark Montano. All the show notes for this are over on creativequeso.com. And a big shout out to my producer, Mariah Gossett, and my hubby, Chris Beck, for the music. And also, thank you to you for listening. I can't wait to hang out with you again next week, same time, same place.